What's up guys, welcome back to another video. As you can see, the backdrop is a little bit different today. We're currently at the airport, and originally I would not have been able to film this video. However, our original flight got rescheduled to an hour and a half later, so here I am to get the video out for you from Hello High Water. Anyways, as a caveat to recording this video at the airport, it is very likely that this is not going to be edited, or at least it's just going to be minimal editing, because our editor is right here as well. And so, yeah, depending on when we need to board the flight, right, just bear with the rawness of this video. Anyways, let's get into today's video. So yesterday we talked about how price was going to head towards the downside, and this would happen after you get that 5-minute change in state of delivery. And funnily enough, like about 25 minutes after I finished recording the video, we did indeed get that 5-minute change in state of delivery, started heading towards the downside. That is also the moment where I entered the trade. However, as I posted on Twitter, if the my computer is still bugging out. Yep, computer is still bugging out for one reason or another. It started bugging out since yesterday. Probably gonna have to switch a computer now. Anyways, just take my word for it. Yesterday on Twitter, I was like, okay, I did not quite get a 2R, but you can look for an opportunity to re-enter later on. And re-enter later on indeed, because like prior to FOMC around 10 a.m., 11 a.m., you did sweep the highs, right? Basically stopping out everyone that did not yet take profit. I had already set my stops to break even. In fact, I even recommended you guys to set your stops to break even. If you would like to get more of these like real-time updates, feel free to follow me on Twitter at _theartofcrypto. That's where like outside of the videos, like, because I can give you the scenarios in the videos, but it's really tough for me to just make like real-time updates because, well, these videos need to be edited. So yeah, so yesterday ended up getting stopped out break even, but eventually you did get a second re-entry. Price ended up closing lower, and so yesterday is definitely a win. Now, prior to yesterday, I was sitting at 86 wins over the last 107 videos, and so this puts us to 87 wins over the last 108 videos. I do publicly track this on Twitter as well, and this is just to give you confidence as the viewer that, hey, you're watching a channel where we are more often right than we're wrong, and that's all that matters. But anyways, moving on to the daily chart for today. Even though yesterday's candle closed bearish, we had an overall really strong positive move to the upside. And so, first of all, I'm still really glad that we bounced back from that, because we had a really rough week prior to that. But yesterday, we ended up striking the balance. And for today, the daily bias purely based off of the daily bias, or rather the daily close from yesterday, it is supposed to be towards the downside. But this could look slightly different the moment we go into the lower time frames. And again, like the speakers are just blasting away, like everyone is just like moving around. So if you guys start hearing some background noise, like I really do apologize for that. Anyways, the 1 hourly chart, we are still overall bearish unless something specific happens. That something specific is going to be a candle close above this level right here at 118,700. If you get a 1 hourly candle close above this level right here, it would signify a bullish change in state of delivery, because otherwise we are still technically, in terms of just pure order flow, we are still in bearish order flow. The moment you get a candle close above this, that is kind of like a long signal that, hey, today is most likely going to be an Asia accumulation, London breakout, New York continuation type of setup. Until that happens though, you still need to play it a little bit cautiously. Now, from what I remember, because I've been talking about news pretty much since last week and even up till now, today is a news day. As for what time the news is, I have no idea. Like, my computer is bugging out at the moment, so I don't really want to switch tabs. I seriously don't know what happened. Started yesterday night, but it definitely means I need to start upgrading to maybe one of the newer MacBook Pros. Anyways, just taking a look at the 1 hour chart. Again, yeah, you're in bearish order flow. Until that changes, you don't really want to be jumping into longs yet. And another reason for that is because on the daily chart, you are also, like yesterday's candle closed bearish, which means like purely based off of candle range theory, your daily bias today is supposed to be towards the downside, purely based off of that. So we should be prioritizing shorts. However, we have reason to believe that because of the overall higher time frame flow, for example, this level, like this retracement all the way down here, was filling in some kind of weekly bullish Fibonacci gap, right? We've already explained this like for at least a few days now. And at the moment, the overall flow is going to be towards the upside. Now, ultimately, that is still something that we want to see from the markets. It's not something that is absolutely confirmed yet, and so we're just still going to just take it easy. And like we expect long term, it's going to go up, but for today, we may not have the signal yet to just enter right off the get-go. So going back down to the 5 minute, just to give you guys a better picture of how this is going to work. And again, Wi-Fi is really spotty. So this is your Asia range. At the moment, London has traded the majority of the session above the Asia range. And if you do not get a 1 hourly candle close above this level, this would mean that Asia is going to be your accumulation, London's going to be your manipulation, and New York is going to be your distribution. This is further backed up by the fact that at the moment you have a 5 minute change of delivery at the moment. And so technically speaking, you could already enter a trade from over here. You can start placing a stop loss above this high and you can target 2R, and that would be a brilliant trade. Now, this again changes. Like this would be probably the official call because of the daily bias being towards the downside. And I did make a promise yesterday that I would try to trade the system more often, rather than using my what's the word for this? Discretion. Yeah, instead of using discretion, right? Because trading, ultimately, like profitable trading, sustained over time, is a result of following your system come hell or high water, rather than a product of trading skill. Because you can be a really skilled trader, but that does not mean that you're going to be making money, or that does not mean that you're going to be, just consistently doing well when it comes to trading. So anyways, we already have that 5 minute change in state delivery, which technically means that right now we can already start jumping into a short, targeting either this low or that low. But personally, being someone who holds bags in crypto, I would most likely, especially because today also we have news, I would most likely wait until an hour before news to the hour after news and see if you get some sort of 1 hourly candle close above this level. Because if you do, you could potentially start looking for price to do this, something like that, and then you can potentially use this prior bearish order block, flip it into bullish, flip it into support, and then you bump from there. So, but again, just understand that if you are taking a long 2 day, you are by definition counter trend trading, because the daily bias is still towards the downside, which means that if we were to take longs, ideally we should be waiting until tomorrow and not today. Another thing to keep in note, or rather to keep in mind, is that today is also the last day of the month, which also means that this is the monthly close, and tomorrow we are potentially going to get a decent bit of volatility. Even today, we're probably going to get a decent bit of volatility to close out the month. Now, tomorrow, very likely going to be the same. So for today, it's highly imperative that we get the direction right. At the moment, the 1 hourly chart is still a little bit... the right word to use for this is indecisive, because you are very close to getting a very 1 hourly bullish CISD. But at the same time, because of everything else that is pointing towards the downside, you have, for example, on the 5 minute, a Asia AMD, and you have on the 1 hourly still in bearish order flow, and then you have the daily pointing towards the downside. As long as we get the direction right, the move for today is going to be pretty explosive. A lot like what happened yesterday. So, as for the timing, you don't want to just be jumping into these trades like blindly. You also want to pay attention to timing. In terms of that, again, I cannot pull up. In fact, I could probably pull it up on my phone, but feel free to just go into forexfactory.com/calendar, filter it by red folder USD news, and hour leading up to that and the hour after that is... Do you mind pulling up Forex Factory calendar for me? On your phone, Forex Factory calendar. In fact, I'm going to show you. So, yeah, just expect there to be more of a setup kind of period, more of a accumulation kind of period heading into the news. And once you get the news, well, you know exactly what to look out for. Now, if we were trading in the system exclusively, then we would be looking at a trade towards the downside. And taking a look at news today, we have news exactly at 8:30 a.m. So yeah, within the next couple of hours, you should see something. You should see something happen on the chart. But anyways, the target for today, as usual, target 2R. But I wouldn't necessarily go all the way down to the swing low right here. Again, Wi-Fi is very spotty. Even just taking a profit at the Asia low would already be sufficient. And again, this gets completely invalidated. Just be ready to kind of shift your direction, because the moment you get a 1 hourly change of state delivery towards the upside here, then yeah, you're going to be looking pretty good for longs. Anyways, I hope that, I wish I could have given you a more clear signal, but unfortunately, due to the rush schedule that I'm trying to make for today, and also the fact that yeah, we're just not really getting the clearest of signals. Unlike yesterday. Yesterday was super clear. The day before was super clear as well. But today is just a little bit less clear. But hopefully this gives you all the prep that you would need in order to make a good decision. Personally, I'm not going to be making a call today. Like, I'm not going to count this. Just literally coming on to give you guys what you need to know. And like, yeah, of course, like I'm going to be getting on a flight soon. Definitely no way I'm going to be trading today. But otherwise, guys, going to enjoy the rest of my espresso. Have a good day, safe day trading, and I'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.